Hi, I'm Scott Evans. I just want to give you a little background on what you're about to see here. I grew up with quite a bit of involvement in motorcycles, started riding around age 8. Eventually over the years, after a real love of road racing, I did a little road racing. I did some ice racing, some off-road riding, etc. At one point I even worked for a Superbike team. Motorcycle road racing was my real love. And after years of working in the video and television production field, I created an opportunity to get out from behind the camera and get in front of the camera, and you can see some examples of that elsewhere on this YouTube channel. So around 2001, I had the opportunity to start taking equipment out on my own time on weekends and start creating a whole bunch of motorsports content with the intent of producing a show, at least a pilot of a show, for the cable network that I worked for. So throughout the year in 2001, amongst the offshore racing boats and the stock car racing, I had opportunity to go to the Toronto International Motorcycle Show and interview some fairly well-known individuals. All of this was in an effort to put together a show idea for the Rogers television network, which I called RPM, Rogers Performance Magazine. Unfortunately, they weren't so enthusiastic about the idea, and the show never came to fruition. However, I did keep all those tapes, and with my own equipment, years later, I was able to digitize that material, and now I can bring you some examples of that stuff that I did 14 years ago. That being said, if you're a fan of any sort of racing, you'll probably recognize the following gentlemen.
Well, we started in '83. I started my GP career in '83 with Kenny Roberts, actually, as a teammate. And went all the way through to '92. So it was a long, as far as GP careers go, it was a long career. You know, I raced over 10 years and had a lot of fun in those times. We won 4 world championships, '84, '86, '88, and '89. So, yeah, I'm real happy with the teams I was with, and Yamaha was a big part of that. I hate pain. I hate pain. I don't know. I've always approached it that you know, a methodical kind of way of doing it, and getting comfortable with the racetrack, getting comfortable with the bike, and actually maybe started a little bit slower in practice than the other guys, and just thought about it a little longer, and then got up to speed. Where some guys rushed into it, and maybe rushed in a little quick, and that hurt them. So. Well, actually, I did a half season in '96 with the CART on the Gallus team, but and they're a real good team, but we were underfunded, and just, you know, basically had the wrong equipment that year. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed driving the cars, but it's a completely different feel. What you see is the same, what you feel is completely different, but I really enjoyed it. It's just a matter of sponsorship, and like anything else, it's just hard to find the sponsorship to go car racing. Oh, definitely a lot easier for bike riders to go car racing, there's no question. I do a little bit of work with Yamaha, do some testing, and do a little bit of PR, and doing this kind of thing here, so it's fun. Fortunately, I got to see all of that, and experience most of it. So, and what's nice is actually maybe been a part of it. We've, you know, made changes to the bike that back then that we see now on these street bikes. So it's kind of nice to see. Well, I really enjoy the experience of coming up here and being a part of this show, and Joe Rocket has been a part of that. They brought me up, and and of course with Yamaha. So with the combination of the two, and hopefully I'll be able to contribute something to Joe Rocket, and we can develop new leathers and new products that yeah, I'm looking forward to. Well, that's a good question. When I started racing, most people, you know, when I told them that I race motorcycles, they said, well, you don't look like a biker. So we've come a long way since then. You know, now people really respect the riders and what they do, and it's more a transportation, a way to get to work, and sport. And it's not just bikers. So we're not just bikers anymore. We're actually respected industry. So yeah, it's a lot of, it's fun. Without question, the media has played a huge part in the development of racing, and you know, our exposure to the outside the industry anyway. So yeah, I think it's great. The more we get on television, they show the racers, and they show that they're not just these daredevils or risk takers or whatever. They're actually real people, and they're athletes, and they train hard, and yeah, it's, you know, it's nice to see finally it's coming around. I definitely watch the racing on TV. You know, I go through the guide and try to find out when they're on, and you know, and I watch all the kids now, and I just think, wow, you know, these guys are nuts, just like everybody else did when I was racing. So, no, it's fun to watch, and there's a lot of kids coming up, Nikki and Tommy Hayden that are here today, and a lot of Canadian riders as well. You're going to hear about them in the future. So, I mean, just, you know, I can't really name names, but there's a lot of young talent out there that are coming from out of Canada and America. They're going to go to Europe and win championships, no doubt. It's amazing. When I first walked in, I walked in the door and I looked around, and I was in this little hallway, and I'm thinking, well, this place isn't that big. And then somebody said, no, there's 5 other buildings here. So yeah, I've been walking around, I'm still lost. Yeah, without question, winning at home, a GP at home, which we didn't have a GP for 23 years. So, you know, to bring it back here, North America, and you know, it was wonderful to win in front of family and friends, and so that was one of them. Yeah. Well, I'll probably spend a little time motocrossing, jet skiing, playing with the go-karts, just goofing off. I think in any sport, if you're going after the world championship, obviously you have to be dedicated to that sport and focused and spend all your time. Everything else just can't exist. You know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that that's the way it works. You just have to shut out a lot of other things in your life and just focus directly on the task. And you know, I did that for about 10 years, and now it's kind of fun just to get out and enjoy life and go, wow, there's, you know, a lot of really good people riding motorcycles out here. It's not just about racing. So. Well, that's a tough question. You know, you look back and you think, gee, I should have enjoyed the wins a little bit more, and you know, should have probably socialized a little bit more with people. But you know, like I said earlier, you have to shut all that stuff out. So, you know, that was part of the job. That's what we had to do. And now I'm just more relaxed. And you look back and you go, boy, I don't know why I was so wound tight, but that was part of the job, I guess. So.
Well, I hope you enjoy watching that. It may be a little dry, I admit. I'm not able to afford to buy the rights to all the old racing footage that I would like to incorporate into that piece. Nonetheless, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to include 3 or 4 other notable motorsports competitors. I hope you'll come back and watch my interviews with them. Cheers.